Welcome to the Q1 Buck Pull. Tim Hart and Mike Big Buck Hoffner. On today's show, we've got party stories. And you know, Mike, a lot of people brought their racks to the parties, told their stories. We had first-timers. We've had people that hunted for years. But we always enjoy hearing what's going on out in the woods.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I missed a couple of parties, Tim, because I was on vacation. But as soon as I got back, I had people emailing me, calling me, saying, Mike, you should have been there. There were some phenomenal racks.
Also on today's show, we've got the DNRE with us. They're going to be talking about feral swine. If you are out hunting with a license and you see one of these feral swine, you know what they want you to do? Pop it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's becoming a nuisance in Michigan. But besides taking them out, Tim, they make tremendous breakfast sausages, I can tell you.
Yes, you can. And also, when you're talking about breakfast sausage, well, we've got Chef Steve Deal with us today. He's going to be cooking up some Italian venison roast, which is delicious. Try one of the recipes. Go to q1buckpull.com and you can see all the recipes online. So stay with us. We've got all that and more right here on the Q1 Buck Pull.
Q1 Buck Pull, Michigan's biggest and best buck pull contest. Brought to you by these sponsors who support Michigan's great outdoors.
Well, as we've been doing on a number of shows, we've been partying, actually showing you some of the people that have brought their racks in from some of the regional parties. And you know, Mike, we've got more coming up. You can go online and find out where the next regional party is going to be. But it's always fun to hear the stories.
Yeah, you know, we've got all kinds of hunters. We've got the first-time people that shoot the deer of a lifetime, or even if it's a small one, they're excited about that. We've got the serious hunters, Tim, that really get into deer hunting. But the thing that's so cool is that there's so much variety that it always makes the stories interesting.
All right, so we've got party stories from the Midwest region up in the Grand Rapids area, and also the Southeast region over from the Adrian area here on the Q1 Buck Pull.
So I didn't think he'd be there by November 15th. There was a lot of people that did know about this buck. I fortunately, being a bed hunter, had the opportunity to hunt his bedding area. And so I decided to go from gun hunting to try crossbow. And opening day for me this year in Swamp was like going through Sleepy Hollow. It was just white fog. As the fog started to lift, and it finally started to dissipate. 25 yards out, there he was standing there broadside. And and the Wicked Ridge crossbow did its job. He did a couple bounds, and I started to question myself as to whether I hit him, and then he stopped and started to wobble and flopped right on over. Just a neat buck, and gonna make another great mount this year, so we'll see.
I had my muzzleloader all set up on my shooting stick, but it was below my I was in a box blind, so it was below my window, so I just had to lift it up above and set it on my boot. Well, we put a bunch of scent stuff on my boot, and when I set it up there, it kept slipping down and slipping. I'm like, oh no, and I couldn't, it wouldn't be up there where I could shoot him. So he just kept walking out, and I had a Montana decoy about, I don't know, 100 yards down my path this way. He moved out about 70 yards, 50 to 70, something like that. I'm not good with distances.
50 to 70. Yeah, 20 yards makes a difference. You should just say, I think it was about 90 yards. It was a long shot. Isn't that right?
Yeah, well, I sight my gun in for 75, so it was right on. But I was able to have some time and set it on my boot, and when he got back to my front window, I just waited for him to just line up with me and shot him and double lunged him.
I had my 11-year-old son hunting with me. The neighbor on the property just to the front of us had fired a round, and 5 minutes later he fired again. So I told my son, I said, I think that guy just missed a deer. We need to sharpen up. And about 5 minutes later he came down through the river bottom, and I shot him at 50 yards, and that was the end of it.
And did you have a lot of goodies for your son out there?
Right. Yeah, he was eating snacks and drinking pop. And we were punching each other, and it was pretty hard hunting. It was great. My 6-year-old was hunting with my hunting buddy, and they were 100 yards up the hill, so we had a great celebration when it was done, and it was a great deal.
What do you think the key is to keeping the kids interested and taking them out there?
Making it comfortable for them, I think, is a key. We try our best to, at least during the rifle season, we keep them in the shack blinds and keep them comfortable. And hey, if they want to take a break and color, sit on the floor and color, but give it a good hunt for the first while. And so we try and get them out as much as we can.
I look down and there he is, just standing down there to my right.
Were you going to shoot the doe at all or not?
No, I was waiting for a buck. And then I knew the trail he was going to come in on, because where he was coming was another trail. So I had my bow up and I could see him over here, and I just quit looking at him. I just got my bow ready, pulled back, and 15 feet in front of me, he comes walking in front of me. I'm 28 feet up, so I almost shot him in the top of his back. I could see the arrow down there, and I knew I hit him good. And I watched him go behind me about 20 yards into the thickets. I could see his horns just in the thickets, and he's just rocking back and forth. And the horns went down. I said, okay, now it's 5 after 6. I called my boy. I got my phone out there. I said, Brandon, I just shot a monster. I said, call your brother, call everyone. We'll bring him in.
All right. It was the third day of season, rifle season, and I had 3 bucks out in front of me, and seen some does coming out, and he come out behind them, and it's quite a ways away. I didn't know whether to shoot or not, and it was way too far of a shot for me. I started shaking, and after the 4th shot, I ended up hitting him, and
And he dropped right there, I take it?
No.
Well, why the hell would he drop right there? Took 4 shots to kill him. Slide in here.
No, it was a little bit more than that. We run him down, and we got him, tackled him, and doing one of them deals.
They tackled him, you didn't get horned or anything like that, huh?
Nope. It was a good story, though.
Well, I tell you,
that's probably where we ought to stop.
That's just some of the stories from our regional prize parties. We'll have more of those coming up in the next few weeks. Remember, February the 19th, we're going to be at the Soaring Eagle Casino. That's where we're giving away that ATV, along with bows and muzzleloaders, all kinds of things.
Yeah, we have a tremendous turnout, Tim. It's the grand finale, and it is an exciting time, so don't miss it.
Stay with us right now. When we come back, we've got the DNRE talking about the feral swine problem out there and what you can do to help eradicate those feral swine out in the wild. We've got more coming up. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. We're now talking about the feral swine problem out there. We've got wildlife biologist Shannon Hanna with us. And Shannon, this feral swine problem out there, what's going on with it, and how did it all start?
Well, in Michigan, we've been seeing pigs since about 2001. We've been keeping sightings. DNR keeps a record, Department of Ag keeps a record, and it's been increasing over time. We are now starting to see families with piglets, meaning reproduction is occurring. We're starting to see crop damage, landscape damage at homes, and then pigs on game areas and state forest land. So it's becoming more of a problem than originally thought, and we kind of like to call them Asian carp with legs is our new term for them, because they are a nuisance, they are an invasive, they are an exotic species, they're not native to Michigan.
Now, how did they get out? They get out of like private fenced-in operations?
Yes, we have a lot of sightings that are near both, sometimes domestic farms, but also high fence facilities where deer and elk are kept for hunting purposes. They also sometimes have swine that can be hunted on those facilities, and those facilities have deer fences, not necessarily pig fences to keep pigs in. Some of them do have buried fence, but many of them don't.
Mm-hmm. So what's being done about this problem?
Well, in Michigan, we started back in 2006, we started a feral swine work group with several agencies, and that's over departments and local agencies and MUCC and others. We have a feral swine resolution from the Michigan Department of Agriculture Commission and the Natural Resource Commission that passed in 2007 that said we wanted to address and eradicate feral swine in Michigan. We've been trapping with the USDA Wildlife Services folks and trying to hit hot spots throughout the state to get the biggest bang for our buck. Some of our traps are catching 8 to 10 pigs at a time. We passed laws in 2010 that allow hunters to be able to shoot pigs opportunistically, meaning if they're out hunting other species, they can take pigs. You don't need a pig license to do that, just any valid hunting license. If you're on public land and then private land, you don't need a hunting license to take the pigs.
So it's not like you can just say, hey, I'm going out to hunt hogs today, unless you see, and like you were talking about too, there is groupings and that sort of thing, and you'd rather trap them than you'd shoot them.
Correct. If hunters see, or any landowners see, groups of pigs, we would like to have that on the books first before you go out to try to shoot them. We'd like those sightings, we could keep track of those, and then if they're in large amounts, we like to go out and initiate a trap. First, we give landowners traps on loan, and then they initiate that along with Wildlife Services to catch as many pigs as we can before they start getting shot at and migrating.
Now, are there any diseases found within these feral swine?
Absolutely. We've had so far 7 positive swine for pseudorabies, which is it's not really a rabies virus, that's why it's called pseudorabies, but it acts like a rabies virus. And that's pretty important because the Michigan domestic hog industry has a pseudorabies-free state status, and we want to maintain that status so that they can ship their pork out of state and to different grocery chains if they need to. If we lose that status, they won't be able to do that, and they won't be able to ship hogs out of state for finishing, for growing them up to a certain weight for market. So we really need that status. But the other diseases they do test for if we get a sample from a carcass is brucellosis, trichinosis, classic swine fever, and tuberculosis, big TB, and then obviously pseudorabies.
So I guess the question is for hunters out there is, if I do shoot one of these feral swine, what should I do? Or blood sample to the DNR, what should I do?
Yes, we have little vials that we can get from USDA, Wildlife Services. They have little test tubes that you can take with you out in the field. If you happen to shoot a pig, you can take a sample. Or Department of Ag actually requests that you do call if you have a carcass and they would like to come and take a blood sample directly out of the heart with a needle. And that tends to be the cleanest sample where they can get the most tests out of that. So you can do it either way.
Any other information we want to provide to people about the feral swine problem or what they can do hunting-wise?
Well, hunting-wise, if you're out, whatever you're hunting, and you see a pig and you have an opportunity to shoot it, we do want you to take it. We do want them off the landscape. They are an exotic, and we have passed an invasive species order to ban the hunting of these pigs behind fence that takes effect in July. But until that happens, we're still going to have continued probably releases during the time frame, and then also we do want folks to notify us if they shoot one or if they just decide not to shoot it. We'd still need to know that it's there so we can keep track of where they're at on the landscape.
And then the meat is still good to eat?
The meat is good to eat. We just recommend, just like the pork producers, that you cook it up to 160, over 160, up to 180 if you can, to bake out any of the diseases that could be there if you don't get it tested. Even if you do send it in for a test and you want to eat it prior to get that test returned to you, you're going to want to cook it thoroughly before you eat it.
All right, so help out with the feral swine problem out there. And again, if you have more questions, you can go to the DNR's website. Shannon, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, Shannon Hanna with us here. She's a wildlife biologist with the DNR, and you're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. All right, you got the venison in the freezer. Now what? Well, we've got Chef Steve Deal with us. Italian venison roast today.
Tim, I'm salivating. I'll tell you what, that guy's a hit with me, and I love his recipes.
You can go online and get all the recipes at q1buckpole.com. Cook them up and have yourself some delicious venison. Here's the chef, Steve Deal.
Hi, I'm Stephen Deal, Culinary Arts Instructor at the Calhoun Area Career Center, and you're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. Today we're going to do a little Italian venison roast. I got a nice little roast of venison right here. Little silver skin on it's okay. The reason I don't say that because that's going to add just a touch of flavor. I'm going to hit it with just a touch of sea salt. This is the fine grind sea salt that I use for that because I find that it actually gives a nice little more coating into it. A nice little Italian blend that we make up here at the CACC. A little rosemary, garlic, basil, thyme, and pinch of oregano. And my secret spice into it, just a touch of lavender that goes with it. Nice crust on the outside of it. Don't hesitate to get a nice, liberal amount of seasoning all over it. Okay. Next, just a little bit of pepper. The best way to do this is actually allow this to marinate for at least 4 to 6 hours prior to cooking. What we're going to do to start this to get cooking is I got a nice pan, saute pan warmed up here. And this is just a 50 blend. We're going to take this venison roast, I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit and start browning that. As that's browning, I like to take a little onion, julienne, put that back in the pan until we're ready for it. I have a little tomato. These have been washed ahead of time. I'm going to cut the stems off the end of it. A nice medium rough dice is what I use for it. Just put this all right with our onions. Now if you like, a little extra garlic is nice in it, a little celery, but there's no real options that you have to. You can kind of just use it to your discretion how you personally would like this to come out. There. That's one of the reasons right here that I left that silver skin on it, get that nice little sear on the outside of that crust to it. I always talk about crust, you hear that a lot in the culinary world. That crust is that texture, holds in all that moisture, all that flavor for that roast that you're doing, or the steak, or something that you're searing like that. As this is searing, there we go. Now that we got a nice little crust all the way around that, I'm going to take some beef stock. Now, we're done with this. You'll put a little cover on it. Pop it into an oven. You want your oven to be set about 350 degrees, and you're going to let that slow roast for about 4 hours. And this is our venison right here. Beautiful roast right there. Long, slow simmer to it. We're going to save all that beautiful sauce right there to accompany it. Oh, fork tender almost. Look at that. The knife just goes right through it. Beautiful. All right. Now, if you want, you can serve this with your favorite side dish. Mashed potatoes are always a favorite in my household. Steamed rice is always a great one, like we're going to do today. Buttered noodles, spatzels, risotto, whatever you personally, your discretion that you would like to use for this, it's outstanding. That's what's so fun about it. Nice little sticky rice. We'll put that venison right up on top of it. Take a little bit of our juice, onions, tomato, beef stock, and voila, Italian venison roast. You're watching the Q1 Buck Pull, and I'm Stephen Deal, Culinary Arts Instructor at the Calhoun Area Career Center.
You know, one of the things that I like about Chef Steve Deal's recipes is they're easy and quick to make.
And if you don't want to read them, you just watch them cooked and you just follow it step by step.
All right, we've got the final Q1 Buck Pull prize party coming up February the 19th, and make sure you check it out. It's at the Soaring Eagle Casino, and you know, Mike, we're going to have a good time. Bring your racks, bring your mounts. We're going to have buckboards. We thank Earl Shebach. He's going to have all the buckboards up so you can hang your deer.
Yeah, we've got prizes galore, Tim, and I also wanted to compliment you on our new Q1 Buck Pull shirts.
And if you would like a Q1 Buck Pull hat or shirt, you can go online at q1buckpull.com and you can purchase your favorite apparel. Mike Big Buck Hoffner, welcome back.
Nice to see you, Tim. I left the 88-degree temperatures to 0.
All right, well, that's the way it is right here in Michigan.
Exactly.
All right, make sure whenever you're out in the woods, you stay safe. I'm Tim Hart. Thanks for watching this week's edition of the Q1 Buck Pull.
For the latest on Michigan hunting, pick up the current edition of Woods and Water News, Michigan's premier outdoor publication, available on newsstands or by subscription. Woods and Water News, proud sponsor of the Q1 Buck Pull.
Serious. Remember how serious he is? He's pretty serious.
Oh, yeah. Well, there I was. I was protecting nature. And, you know, I was going to step on the twig, and I thought, no, a twig could become a sapling and grow to a big tree. So I stepped over that, and lo and behold, there was the deer. Boom, shakalaka. I shot him.
Got him, first shot. You know what? I didn't.
It was a clean kill.
And when he ran and he fell over, he never even broke a twig or a branch or anything.
Oh, no, because those are going to be trees that I climb later on in life.
Burrowed their way out or whatever. Rooted their way out, is that what they're
rooting? Listen to my stomach. You got the.
You sound like a you.
Hey,
you got the.
You got the. Q1buckpull.com. Check us out, and you can do it all.
Wow.
Let's find out more about what you can do. I don't know what else to say.